Excerpt from The Forces That Be, Chapter 9, on the Sorrow Given Form, authored by Herodin Kalros, scholar of the eclipsed age. There are forces that do not rule, yet they are obeyed. There are shapes that do not live, yet they walk. There is grief that does not die, yet it moves from soul to soul as one might pass a torch in the night. This grief has a name, and it is Vaelekt. Vaelekt is no god, though the ignorant sometimes mistake him for one. He is older than the Pantheon's designs, yet no older than the first heart to break. Whether he was born in that instant or is merely its perfect reflection, none can say. All that is certain is that he is grief given weight, sorrow given legs, loss given purpose. He is known by many names in many tongues: the pale walker, the gravekin, the step beside you, the antlered shadow, the long mourning. Yet the oldest name, whispered in the dialect of the northern highlands, is Velaekt, which roughly translates to that which walks until you do not. On his form, witnesses, those rare and wretched enough to survive his passing, speak of a figure tall and gaunt, humanoid in its stance, yet marred by unnatural proportions. His skin is taut and wrong, stretched hide over bone, streaked with veins of bark and soot, as if a forest fire had been shaped into a man. His limbs are long and crooked, the fingers bending backward at the knuckles as though they were never meant for the taking of tools. The head is that of an elk, or rather, the perfect death mask of one. The skull is ancient, pitted and cracked, its bone weathered by centuries. From it rise antlers like gnarled roots clawing for a sun that will never shine. His eyes are empty sockets, yet no soul who has stood beside him doubts that they were seen in full. All secrets bared, all grief counted and named. He wears no garment, he needs none, the winds do not touch him, and the cold is his own. Those who have walked beside him report that his presence bends the air, the snow falls strangely, the wind seems to skirt his shape, and the ground beneath him remains undisturbed. He leaves no prints, no mark of passage, save the mark he carves into the soul. On his coming, Vaelekt does not hunt in the manner of beasts, nor stalk like the fellborn who hunger for devotion or flesh. He arrives when he is called, and he is called not by prayer, but by the quiet inward death of the spirit. When the will begins to crumble, when the burden grows beyond bearing, when the road stretches too far and the heart finds no reason to take the next step, that is when Vaelekt comes. He will not be ahead of you. He will not follow. He will appear at your side, and from that moment he will match you step for step. There is always a sign before the seeing, a sudden cessation of the wind, or else its cry becomes muted and hollow as though muffled in deep snow. The cold changes in character, not sharp but crushing, as though one walks beneath the weight of another sky. The heartbeat slows. The mind grows sluggish, thoughts pulling toward the same bleak truth. You will not make it. The whispers. Vaelekt does not speak aloud. His voice is not made for air, but for the marrow. It comes as a thought not your own, threading itself between your memories and your resolve. You will fail. They are already dead. You are not a man. You are a grave. He knows the names of those you have lost. He will speak them to you. He will tell you how they died, or how they will. And he will walk until your body ceases or your will is surrendered, for he is patient beyond measure. The claiming, what becomes of those who stop, is not well recorded. Some say they simply lie down in the snow and never rise, their bodies later found unmarked, as though frozen mid-step. Others tell of the pale figure bending down, placing his elk's skull brow to theirs, and in that instant drawing out the last warmth until nothing remains. A few claim that those taken do not die at all, but rise again, thin, faceless shadows that follow in Vaelekt's eternal procession, unseen save in storms. On worship and fear, the pantheon tolerates Vaelekt, if such a word can be used, but does not trust him. He serves no balance, he keeps no laws but his own. The gods cannot unmake him any more than they could unmake grief itself. There are no great temples to Velaekt. His name is not carved on stone save by the desperate or the mad. Yet among certain highland and mountain tribes, offerings are made when a journey into the high snows is undertaken, an antler tip, a token carved from bone, or the shed hide of a winter stag. These are left at waystones in the hope that, if Vaelekt comes, he will pass them by. Some say these offerings are folly, for Vaelekt cannot be bribed. Others say they work, but only because the act itself is a defiance of the despair he feeds upon. Origins and theories. Scholars of the eclipsed age debate his origin. The most accepted belief among the Silent Order is that Vaelekt was born in the First Age, when the first soul died in Elyndor, and the first mourner carried their grief alone. Others claim he is the shadow of a god forgotten, a deity who once ruled over the hunt and the herd, but starved when his followers were slain in the reckoning. In his hunger, he consumed only grief, until grief became all that he was. A rarer theory, whispered only in certain cloisters, is that Vaelekt is not a single being at all, but a mask worn by grief itself, meaning that the Vaelekt who walked beside one man 100 years ago is not the same who walks beside another today, but the same grief merely given a new face. There are no bargains with Vaelekt, writes High Seer Callian of the Sky Blessed. He will not grant you victory, nor will he hasten your death. He will only walk with you until you decide which you prefer. The hunter and the steppe beside him, a fireside tale. Long ago, before the snows buried the northern passes, there was a hunter named Corvan. He was the kind of man who could track a stag for 3 days without rest, the kind who feared neither wolf nor winter. One season the storms came early, swallowing the mountains whole. Still, Corvan went out after the great white hart that had eluded him for years. He followed its prince higher and higher, through drifts as tall as a man, until the world was nothing but wind and white. For 3 days he walked. The hart's tracks never faded, but on the 3rd day, as the sun sank behind the ridges, the storm changed. The wind died. The snow fell straight down, soft as ash. The air grew heavier, so heavy he could feel it pressing against his chest. That's when Corvan heard it. A step, not ahead, not behind, beside him. He turned his head, and there it was, tall as 2 men, skin like dead wood and burnt bone, the skull of an elk for a head, and antlers like roots clawing at the sky. Its empty sockets stared at the horizon, but Corvan swore it could see straight into his heart. It said nothing, but he heard it all the same. The heart is gone. Your home is gone. You will die out here. Corvan gripped his bow and kept walking. The thing matched him, step for step. No one will find you. No one will bury you. The snow will cover you, and you will be forgotten. The weight in his chest grew heavier. His legs burned. His hands went numb. The hart's tracks were gone now, but he kept moving. He didn't know why. Maybe out of spite, maybe out of fear. Night fell. The storm began to scream again, but the creature stayed beside him. Hours passed. Days, maybe. Time lost meaning. And then, without warning, it was gone. Corvan stumbled down from the mountains days later, half dead and raving about the steppe beside him. He never hunted again. The old folk say Velaekt spared him because he never stopped walking. Others say the pale walker only left because Corvan's grief was too small to feed on. So, if you're ever alone in the snow and you feel a step beside you, don't turn your head. Don't listen to the voice that sounds like your own. And for the love of the gods, don't stop.